Check out all these oil leaks. This is one of the top 5 problems that we have found on this BMW 535i xDrive. We're gonna go over how to figure this out. Let's get into it. We also have a bonus tip for you at the end that's as simple as this. We'll get into that later. Let's talk about the mirrors. The problem we're finding with the mirrors is the power folding function. When people put the mirror back to its normal position, it goes past and is actually almost a little bit backwards. It'll go to that location. You may have to go to a professional to have this recalibrated, or there could be a mechanical problem in the mirror itself and the mirror has to be replaced. But most of the time, it's just a recalibration. The next on our list is the front lower control arm bushings, also known as thrust bar. Some of the symptoms you're gonna find when you're going down the road, you may feel some clunkiness or even some rattles going over bumps. Sometimes even when you're stepping on the brake, you may notice the steering wheel will pull one way or another, and that could be because the bushing is so worn, the tire's actually moving when you're braking. These bushings are made of rubber, and over time, they break down. Chances are, if this one's broken down, the rest of them are not far behind. So it's a good idea to get your parts at 1aauto.com. They make kits so that you don't have to even think about it, and you can refresh the whole suspension on your car, and you can watch thousands of videos to help you with your install. The third problem on our list is power steering fluid leaks. Now, we're not talking about oil leaks yet. We'll get to that later. The power steering fluid lines that go out of the pump and go into the rack, there's a pressure line there. Those tend to leak, but also you have the return lines as well. You have a line that comes off the rack, goes through the power steering cooler, back up to the reservoir. So if you have a problem with your power steering fluid, you see that it's whining a little bit when you're turning back and forth, or it seems like the power steering isn't working quite as well, chances are you got a leak and you want to check those components out. And our fourth problem happens to be related to the turbo. You may notice on startup or even while you're decelerating, you hear a little rattling type noise. What this is a wastegate. This happens to be a turbo off another vehicle. This is just for reference. It's not the exact turbo that's in the vehicle, but this is a wastegate. So when the turbo has a lot of boost, there's a lot of pressure in there and it needs to bleed off, this opens up to bleed off some of that pressure. This is supposed to be closed while the turbo is building up pressure, but these will loosen up and will cause a rattle. They may be adjustable, but for the most part, when you're hearing that rattle, it needs to be replaced. And in that aspect, you're gonna have to replace the whole turbo. You can't replace just the wastegate. On to the final problem, back to the oil leaks. This thing is soaked. There's oil everywhere. Get all that oil off so that you can see what's going on. When checking out for oil leaks, the best thing to do is check from the top down. Oil's gonna drip down, it's not gonna drip up. The valve cover is made of plastic. It could warp and cause a leak, or even the gasket could split, and that's a good area to take a look at. Also, the housing for the oil filter, there's a gasket in there. If that splits, that's gonna cause a leak. So you check out those two areas, replace those, and then you may have to go further into it if you still have a leak. Now here's the bonus for you. If you have to jump start the car, you have a couple terminals under the hood. Pop that up. After the vehicle's started, you want to make sure you close that hood well and make sure it's all of the way closed before you drive away. If you don't, there is a switch telling the computers that the hood is open, and it can actually shove the vehicle into park while you're moving, and that's not good. You're going to get stuck in park and you could cause some other damage. So make sure that hood is closed.